tried to do a count, and by my count, I see that I think 99% of you are here in present. And so I am going to go ahead and just inform you of the procedure this morning. Okay, so when your name is read, the dean will read your name. Well, your names, he'll read it in a sequence. And you are requested to... Honored guests, members of the Stellenbosch University and Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences management teams, colleagues and our distinguished graduates of the BSc in Dietetics, class of 2020. Good morning and welcome. I'm Florence de Vries, a member of this faculty's marketing team. It is my very great pleasure to welcome you all to our faculty's pledge ceremony today. Along with all members of staff at the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, I wish to extend my warmest congratulations to all those who will pledge to uphold the values of this faculty and the profession you are joining. I also wish to acknowledge the support that has helped you along the way. To all your family and friends joining us via live stream today in celebration of your fine achievement, thank you. Class of 2020, we are here to participate in the praise and wonder of your achievements. You joined those first few dietetics graduates in a tradition that honors your endeavors, and importantly, the pledge you will take to uphold the health professional values of dignity, integrity, and compassion as you journey on in your careers. In a world currently grappling with a global pandemic, you have truly shown us that you are individuals committed to one another and social change. Today is a moment to reflect on how you spent your time here as the world around us has changed. Allow me to share some housekeeping matters that are relevant to the ceremony with you. I'd like to remind you to please switch off your cell phone for the entire duration of this event, as it may interfere with the audio-visual team's functioning. The restrooms are located just outside this venue to the right of the Vida coffee shop. And in the event of an emergency, we may need to evacuate this venue. Please do so in an orderly fashion by following the risk management team's instructions. Finally, please accept my most heartfelt congratulations once again as you conclude your 4-year-long journey with us today. And now I'd like to invite you all to stand as we observe the entrance of the academic procession.
Please have a seat. Good morning, goeiemorgen, molweni. My name is Julia Blitz. I'm the Vice Dean for Learning and Teaching in the faculty. Congratulations to you all. Our 2020 BSc in Dietetics graduates. Can we start with a round of applause? This is an interesting day. It's our first time of doing a pledge ceremony like this, but we're thrilled to be able to offer you this opportunity to have a rite of passage of celebration of your forthcoming graduation. So it gives me enormous pleasure to welcome you all today to this important milestone and celebratory event. I welcome not only those here in this room, but also those watching online. Most importantly, obviously, I welcome you who will be graduating, but also your family and friends who who are watching online. I hope I remember everybody that I'm supposed to introduce now. And I can't obviously see some of the people watching online, but some of the people in the room. Dr. Ronel Retief, the Registrar of Stellenbosch University, on behalf of the University Management Team. Thank you very much, Ronel. I know Ronel has a soft spot for our faculty, and it's great that you're joining us today. Thank you. Professor Jimmy Volmink, the Dean of the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, Dr. Fish, the Vice Dean of Clinical Services and Social Impact, and other members of the faculty management team who are online. Ms. Farah Fredericks, the Deputy Registrar and Head of the Center for Student Administration at Tygerberg Campus. Thank you for being here, Farah. And the BSc in Dietetics Program Coordinator, Dr. Yvette van Niekerk. There we are. Back and forth from the two sides of the room. Dr. Yvette van Niekerk and academic staff, Professor Renee Blau and Mrs. Jolande Smit of the Division of Human Nutrition. You're all very welcome. And also all other partners, colleagues and staff who I cannot see as they are attending the ceremony virtually. The ceremony will begin with a message from our guest speaker. Then you, our graduands, will take the pledge. And finally, each of you will be called up to accept the pledge scroll and to sign the book. Every year, the faculty invites a special guest to this event to share some words of inspiration with you, our graduands, as you enter your chosen profession. This faculty is Professor Rina Swart's alma mater. She graduated here with her initial degrees in dietetics. Currently, she's at the University of the Western Cape in the Department of Dietetics and Nutrition and serving as the Nutrition Program Leader within the DST NRF Center of Excellence in Food Security. Having started off pursuing a diploma in hospital dietetics, she shifted gears to doing her PhD in public health nutrition, with a focus on the prevention of all forms of malnutrition through nutrition policies and programs, as well as the evaluation of such policies and programs. Professor Swart, we look forward to your message.
Professor Volmink, Professor Fish, Professor Blitz, Professor Blau, I can't find all of them, colleagues, friends and family watching this event, graduates, goeiemorgen, good morning, molweni. It is an absolute privilege and an honor to speak to you on this day of celebration in your life. I'm pretty sure when you registered in the beginning of the year, none of you expected that you will receive a corona curveball. None of you expected to become distant learning students, to do things in a totally different way. The good thing about this year is that you did it, and you did it well. And that's why you are here, to be able to celebrate that day and that success. Would I have expected anything different from you? Of course not. You're a dietitian. And dietitians do it this way. Okay. I'm going to share a few bits about my history, just to illustrate how the messages that I want to share with you as part of my learning and kind of old people giving some wise advice to young graduates at the beginning of their career. But before I do, I tell you about my career, let me be a good lecturer and tell you the key messages, just in case you fall asleep and then you've missed it. So, my key messages will be only 3. 1, never stop learning. 2, be an advocate. And 3, beware of conflicts of interest. So, let me step back and start where I started. Way back in when I graduated many, many moons ago. I actually graduated on the 4th of December, much later than this, than your ceremony. And the very next day, I walked back into Tygerberg Hospital to start managing the food service unit, cook, chill, and diet kitchen at that time. And as was the practice in general, I also did therapeutic nutrition. So that was diabetes, cardiology, allergy, and psychology, or psychiatry, and assigned appropriate wards according to that with D4, D8, A6, A8, and then all the lower grounds. And as it was, we used to train students in, from the day that you started working. And then about 3 years later, I moved to the Department of Health, National Health, with an office in Belleville. And that was a very crucial experience for me because I made two important discoveries. One, very personal, and the other one more around professional life. And the personal discovery that I made was that I didn't know enough. And therefore, I started studying again, community nutrition, did an honors in that, and then did some national surveys with the Department of Health, working for long periods in Botshabelo, outside Bloemfontein, in the Vaal Triangle, and realized that there are so many nutritional problems in this country that we were not necessarily equipped well enough to deal with. And maybe I should stop here to just say that that was where advocacy started already, because what you know in your career currently to be community nutrition, and which later evolved for me into public health nutrition, wasn't there when I graduated at all. So we started working with revising competency statements and outcomes and changing the curriculum to also include community nutrition as part of the curriculum. And that's a part of the career that I'm quite proud of, because I do think the country deserves practitioners who can speak to the problems of the country. It helped me also on a personal level because I found my niche area, public health nutrition, my passion, and I'll get back to that a little bit later on. The second message was around the way we work and what we do when we engage with community members or with individuals out there. I think often we use nutrition education as a go-to because that's what we can do. That's what we, in situations where you're overwhelmed by the lack of resources, where people do not have choices, that's your default go-to. We almost use it like a Panado for headache. But that for me is where I think we need to change. Our education, and by all means, I am all pro-education. I'm very much in favor of sharing information, because I do believe information is power. And it's only when you have enough information and you can facilitate a decision-making process that people can take their agency and effect that to change their lives. So I do think we do need to continue education and nutrition education specifically, but I think we need to do it differently. We need to learn maybe from other professions and use different strategies, something like implementation planning, where an individual you walk with them and take the steps with them to practically think through scenarios and situations and plan for how they would be doing differently. In addition to that, and that is where I want to shift it to become an advocate, we need to work to try and remove structural barriers that prevent people from eating healthy diets and from proper nutrition. Now, if you think about structural barriers, I think apartheid and the history of apartheid is, for me, an example of how a structural barrier resulted in poverty of a majority of the population. So what do I mean when I say we need to remove the structural barriers in terms of healthy nutrition? And what should we be advocating for? What people eat, when they eat, and why they eat, and how the food is being prepared doesn't happen by accident. Our food system is manipulated through corporatization, and the conditions is cultivated that makes it very difficult for people to make the healthy choice. So in terms of that, we need to work towards trying to remove some of those barriers, making it easier to make the healthy choice the default choice, actually. And ways in which we can do that is through policy action. But let me take a step back and just give some examples around that. You know, the food we eat through corporatization has become a commodity. The way food is being dealt with within the economic arena is no different to how they would deal with razor blades or pens, for that matter. The principle remains: produce it at the cheapest possible cost, transport it at the cheapest possible cost, and ensure the biggest profit margin that you can have. Profits then gets used to create bigger markets again, to create greater demand through marketing and advertising, and so we have a cycle in the end where the food, the edible items available to us, we need to decide whether we want to call them food or not, but some edible items that are very unhealthy are actually has become to be seen as essential food items by many people. I can take a sugary beverage, for example. People see that as kind of an essential item and don't necessarily understand what the implications of that could be on their health. So, just for interest's sake, if you want to find out a little bit more about this, I don't say you need to become all political economists of food, but you could watch a program like Social Dilemma, a documentary, Social Dilemma, or there's another clip on the Social Experiment on YouTube that's available that makes you see behind the scenes and understand that what we eat is actually not necessarily the choice. We are, to some extent, manipulated into those choices. So what are some of the policy actions that we could do and that have been shown to be successful? One of them we've had since 2018 in South Africa, and that's the taxation on sugary beverages. We have completed an evaluation of the impact of that taxation on the consumption of South Africans, and we did find that it reduces, well, people changed their behavior, but also industry reformulated. But the majority of the change was actually because of behavior change. So there was a significant difference in reduction of energy consumption from beverages as well as sugar consumption. And some of it is because of industry changing their formulation so that there's less sugar in the beverages. So the point around that is it's a double duty kind of action. So it also encourages changes to make our food supply healthier for all of us. And that's the purpose of some of these policy actions. Another one would be, for example, labeling. All the research has shown that doesn't matter which front of pack label you use, most of them have got a positive effect so that people make the healthier choice easier. Because in general, when people shop, they take about 10 seconds at each type of item that they want to choose. That does not allow them sufficient time to look at the content. But if we were to have labels on front, that could assist in making the choice easier. We are busy with research in that field where we're looking at which one could be potentially more successful within our South African context. And then, of course, there's the issue of restriction of marketing to children. I don't know how many of you are aware of the white paper on audiovisual and audio communication that's currently out for comments, and should you want to comment before the 27th of November, but they do have a statement in there in which they suggest that they would like to regulate advertising and marketing to children using audio and audiovisual of unhealthy items. And that could be a very positive move because, as I said, our practices are manipulated through exposure, and should we try and protect children from too early exposure to unhealthy foods, that could be a very useful intervention. Of course, there are other interventions as well, positive ones. Ones like making fruit and vegetables cheaper. There's lots of modeling that has been done that illustrate that just consuming one portion of vegetables, based on South African intake, just consuming one portion of vegetables in addition every day can actually reduce mortality, and it can increase life expectancy. So there isn't a lot of research on that, but there are some projects starting with voucher systems and different things that they're trying to test. We do have that exemption, but it's a very small contribution that it's making. So a lot of work is still required to think through how can we make healthier food available to the majority of the people at a cheaper price. Because one of the stumbling blocks of healthier choices in general in a country where 57% of the population lives below the poverty line is the cost of food, and the cost of healthy food that could be as much as 60% more expensive than the unhealthy version of that. Okay, so in that, I would like to get to my last point around conflict of interest. Now, it might sound as if I am very anti-corporate and anti-sales of products. Not necessarily. The world needs different kinds, and we do need the economy to keep going. But what I think we as dietitians need to remember that in terms of good nutrition and public good, and all of you will be doing community service next year, so you will be public servants for at least a year, and therefore the public good will be your primary purpose. The public good is not the priority of any person with or organization or company with a profit margin. Unfortunately, that is the case. Doesn't mean the one is wrong and the other one is right. It just means we are different and we need to understand and not try and mix the roles. And part of that understanding for me is that the acknowledgement that a lot of good is being done by the commercial, by the economy. That's what keeps us, or is supposed to lift us out of poverty. And they do many good things. If you think, for example, about delivering essential medicine to very remote areas, that's often done by commercial companies. Delivering essential writing material, stationery, to disadvantaged children in poor communities. That's often done by commercial enterprises. My question is, how do you know that they do these things? Because their name appears on the product that they deliver, or there's a huge banner on the van. And my question to you is that doing good or social responsibility purely, or is that marketing? And we need to understand where it is, and we need to then take our position and remember that if public health nutrition is your focus, you have to fight for public health nutrition, and that does not necessarily go so well with a profit margin. And there's lots of discursive tactics that's being used around this to make us think differently, to make us think that there is no difference, but there is a difference. So with those few thoughts that I would like to leave with you, I would just summarize again. Knowledge is power. Make sure and never stop learning. There's always something new, always something that you can bring to improve nutrition of South Africans in general. Find your passion, because people who are passionate about something becomes advocates automatically. You can't help but becoming an advocate for that particular point. And lastly, put the responsibility for poor nutrition where it belongs, not necessarily with the victim, but with all of those working towards creating a food environment that is not conducive to health. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Prof. Swart, thank you very much for that personal message and personal story, and your passion is clear. Thank you. I think it is such an important message to find your niche and find your passion. You know, when you start school, you have to do every single subject, and I'm sure you'll remember some you loved and some you hated, but you had to do them all regardless. When you start university, you start getting closer to the thing that you're really interested. And now that you have your bachelor's degrees, this is your chance to really hone in on that thing which gives you the kind of passion which you hear Prof. Swart speaking with, and finding the place where you can do the work that will be meaningful to you. So thank you very much, Professor Swart. So it's now time for you, our graduates, to make the pledge, which you'll find in the booklet in front of you. This is a pledge that you make in public to say that you will uphold the values of both this faculty, as well as the profession that you are about to join. You'll be invited in a little while to stand and read the pledge together. And after receiving your pledge scroll later on this morning, you can sign our pledge book that remains in the safekeeping of the faculty. So we know you've been here, and we know you've been here today, and we know you've signed the pledge. In the scroll that you receive, you'll receive your own copies of the pledge, and those are for you to sign and keep. So I'm now going to request that you all, the graduands, please stand. And I'm going to ask you to join me as I begin, and then you continue to take the pledge out loud together. So here goes. I freely and humbly pledge to be a health professional who respects people, Thank you all very much. I always find that an incredibly moving experience to hear you saying that together. Please have a seat again. I now call upon Professor Jimmy Volmink, Dean of the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, to read the names of our graduands, and Dr. Yvette van Niekerk, the Dietetics Program Coordinator, to present them with their pledge scrolls. Professor Volmink.
Good morning, greetings. Good to see everyone. I'd like to start by really just congratulating all of you who have taken the pledge today. Each one of you has made a really solemn promise to be a health professional who respects people, cares for yourself, and treats others with dignity, integrity, and compassion. You have also undertaken to remain curious, reflective, and creative, and to respect diverse ideologies, contexts, and solutions. These qualities are essential for existing and operating effectively in an increasingly diverse and changing world. Our faculty has had a proud history of producing well-rounded and balanced professionals, and this pledge that we've taken this morning affirms your commitment to work with others as equals and to uphold the highest ethical standards. And so we really trust that this commitment will remain your guide throughout your future professional career. So as Professor Blitz has said, my job is to read the names, and we have good people here who will guide you as to what you do next when your name is called. And I'd like to just acknowledge Dr. Yvette as well, van Niekerk, who is here to help hand over all the awards, and on behalf of the sponsors. So thank you, Yvette. So let's get started. And you feel free to, after I've read the name, to give a good round of applause. Okay. Nikomi Michelle Bosman. Elke Breedenhan. Tegan Wood Brooke Alder. Georgia Kirsten Burnett, who also receives the prize for the best performance in the module Community Nutrition. Well done. Naume Chigonja. Charlene de Jager. Sitara Danse. B. du Toit. Angelica Fardella. Africa Feniza. Asiya Karim. So before I read the next name, I think I'm going to start with the achievements first and then mention the name of the student. The next student obtains the degree cum laude. That's not all. Secondly, she receives the prize for the best performance in the module Food Service Management. She also receives the top award for best performance in the module Therapeutic Nutrition, and she wins the award for the student who performed the best in her final year. Her name is Isabel Elmer Curl. We should have brought a wheelbarrow. Rebecca Pin Shi Lee. Danielle Kiara Lipschitz. Emma Claire McChrystal. Nadia Mulder. I'm sorry, I should also have mentioned Nadia receives her degree cum laude. Kaylin Anstey Novak. Tyler Duncan Partridge. Jade Una Rousseau. Anae Smith. Gathar Smith. Fatima Suleiman. Mandy Swart. Alicia Elizabeth Turblanche. Liberta Andrea van der Ven, who receives the prize for Best Performance in Research Methodology. You should sign her up for a PhD immediately. Liane van der Walt. Kira van der Kerk. Marika Wagner. Please join me in another round of applause for our students. All right, now a moment of silence and solemnity because we get to the announcement of the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences Medal. And this is for the top achiever in the program. This is awarded to the dietetic student who achieved the highest mark taken over the duration of the program. The student in her first year obtained an average of 76.7. In the second year, 76.9, slightly upward trend. Then in the third year, she really, got the hang of it and shot up to 82.4%. And then despite COVID in the last year, she obtained an average of 78.1%, giving her an average over the 4 years of 78.53. I now welcome to the front Isabel Elmer-Curl. Well done, Isabel. Thank you, and thank you also to Dr. Van Niekerk, who so ably assisted me up front. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we now come to the end of the proceedings. I just would like to end again by congratulating all of you for your excellent work, your success, the fact that you've run this race and you're finishing it. It must be very exciting. And I really want to wish you everything of the best as you go into your profession and go out there to make a difference. We wish you everything of the best, and please keep in touch with us over the years. There's lots more support that we can give each other, and we'd like to continue to work with you no matter where you end up working. We'd like to be partners with you. Secondly, I want to thank the guest speaker, Professor Rina Swart, for an excellent presentation to us, excellent speech. Thank you so much, really appreciate it. And to all the guests that have joined us in person here today, but also online. We wish we could all be in one room, but that was not going to be possible this year. But we really do appreciate you taking the time to join us in these celebrations. And then it would be remiss of me not to thank those who have contributed in so many different ways to running this program today, to the success of the program. I can't mention all their names, but you know who you are, and I'd like to just thank you for your participation in this event, whether it be up front here or behind the scenes. But I do want to single out for special mention Menwin Sambur and DPK Productions for the technical support for the event, Salot Hanakom who always does an outstanding job in making all the arrangements for the pledge ceremony. Again, I'd like to thank the funders who have contributed to the success of our graduates, and especially the staff and public who have contributed to the Itemba Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences bursary. Finally, I'd like to announce that prize winners and students of the Rural Clinical School are requested to stay behind for official photographs, which will be taken on the outside of lecture venue 11, just near to the faculty charter. So it gives you another opportunity to read the charter if you haven't done so. We request that the dignitaries whose presence have been requested for the photographs return to the foyer of the venue once we have completed the procession out of this hall. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please stand as the academic procession leaves the hall.
Solo sogno all'orizzonte mancano le parole. Sì, lo so che non c'è luce in una stanza quando manca il sole. Se non ci sei